Welcome to the Nabisco Slipsheet Operation Training video. We are proud to have you as a part of the Nabisco team, and we feel that this video will be beneficial to both our experienced as well as our new employees. Nabisco has the largest network of bakeries, distribution centers, and branch warehouses in the world. This enormous network produces and distributes over 270 different varieties of cookies, crackers, and other diversified food products. Even though the bakery, distribution center, and branch warehouse are separate operations, they all have a common goal. This goal is to provide and ensure that the consumers always receive products with the highest quality and freshness possible. Whether you are a member of a distribution center or a branch warehouse, it is your responsibility to see that the products received from the bakery are handled, stored, and transported in an efficient manner, while keeping equipment and product damage to a minimum. To aid in this endeavor, we have produced this video, which is intended to refresh or instruct you in proper handling methods and operation of our equipment in both the distribution center and branch warehouse operations.
Each bakery in the Nabisco network is scheduled to produce specific products to ensure availability when needed to support branch warehouse requirements. The craft wrapped in corrugated boxes of finished products are transported to the distribution center by means of a series of conveyors. They are then automatically stacked or palletized onto a heavy paper slip sheet and wooden pallets. Once palletized, the product continues down a roller conveyor to the stretch wrap machine. Here, the product is automatically wrapped in plastic film, which facilitates a very efficient and cost-effective method of containing large quantities of product, and also helps to control damage all through the system. With the stretch wrapping completed, the unit moves to the end of the conveyor, where it is then received and is placed in storage in the distribution center warehouse. Up to this point, where the product is received at the distribution center, the entire operation is automatic and requires no human intervention. It is at this point that the real purpose of this video is realized, when you, the person operating the forklift equipment, becomes an integral part of the product handling network through the use of the forklift push-pull mechanism.
Let's look at what makes up this forklift modification. There are three major components to the push-pull attachment. The platens, which slide under the slip sheet or pallet, similar to the forks on the common forklift. The faceplate, which pushes or pulls the slip sheet and product off or onto the platens. The gripper bar, which grips and holds the slip sheet tab to the faceplate. Each day, before you begin operating the forklift equipment, it will be necessary for you to conduct a pre-operational check of the equipment. All operators must complete the safety checklist to ensure that the equipment they have been assigned will enable them to complete their shift safely and efficiently. First, check the platens to see that they are level. Then check each platen tip for nicks and gouges that could damage the slip sheet or product. If you notice damage, it should be repaired prior to the operation of the equipment. Small nicks can be flattened with a hammer and the edges smoothed with a file or grinder. At the distribution center, major service will be handled by the maintenance and repair department. At the branch warehouse, you should report all major damage to your supervisor, who will arrange for repairs by your authorized preventive maintenance dealer. At the beginning of each shift, you must apply a thin layer of paraffin wax to the surface of the platens. The paraffin wax fills in the small surface irregularities and will enable the slip sheet to slide easily onto the platens. Care of the platens is of the utmost importance. Operators who have never waxed the platens will be impressed with the results derived from this simple procedure. It will ensure longer equipment life due to less strain, reduce product damage, increase the battery life, and improve your ability to grab torn or defective slip sheets. Next, check to see that the pusher plate moves in and out smoothly and does not work at an angle or appear to be twisted. If twisted, the gripper bar will be slanted and will not grip the slip sheet tab evenly, which may cause the tab to be torn. You should then make sure that all fittings are tight and the hoses are attached securely and no leaks are visible. Next, check the mounting hooks to see that they are tight and correctly positioned. Walk around the machine and check the tires for cracks or objects the tires might have picked up that could cause tire damage. Check the battery, making sure that all connections are tight and secure. And that the water reservoir is full. Also check the fire extinguisher to see that it's fully charged and properly secured. Check to see that the horn, brakes, and lights are working properly. After having done this, run the push-pull through several cycles. If any problems are observed during these check steps, notify your supervisor immediately. If everything checks out satisfactorily, you are now ready to begin the shift.
The proper and efficient operation of all equipment cannot be overemphasized, not only for the safety aspects, but also for the economic factors that faulty equipment can generate. Before we start, it is extremely important that we cover a few basic safety practices. Never allow anyone to ride on the platens or use the push-pull for a man-lift platform. Never allow anyone to put their hand inside the mechanism when someone is sitting in the driver's seat or when the machine is running. Never allow anyone to walk under the platens when extended. When carrying loads, always back down inclines and drive forward when going up. Make sure your load is within the rated capacity of the forklift and attachment combination. Most all of the system's distribution center forklifts have a rated capacity of around 3,500 pounds. However, in the normal prescribed distribution and branch warehouse operations, the products that we handle generally would not achieve this weight. Always make sure that the loads that you handle are firmly stacked or unitized. Sloppy or poorly distributed loads should be straightened as much as possible before being picked up. Never travel with the platens raised, whether traveling with or without a load. Always maintain the platens 3 to 4 inches from the floor before moving the forklift. And finally, you should always be constantly on the alert for the presence of other workers or visitors in the area that you are working.
As previously mentioned, the first place that you will manually handle the product is in the distribution center at the takeoff point where the wrapped, palletized product is coming from the automatic stretch wrap machine. To remove the unitized load from the pallet, extend the faceplate to the tips of the platens. Then align the platens with the pallet. Raise the platens just above the tab of the slip sheet. Then tilt the mast 3 to 4 degrees forward and ease the forklift forward so that the slip sheet tab fits into the gripper jaw. If the tab is bent against the load, it must be manually moved back into position before proceeding. It is not recommended that you use the platens to accomplish this because of possible product damage. Now apply your brakes and begin retracting the faceplate. As this action commences, the gripper bar will close upon the tab automatically. When you pull the slip sheet and load onto the platens, it may deflect downward. Raise the platens slightly to compensate for this. Now tilt the mast back and lower the load 3 to 4 inches above the floor. You are now ready to transport the product. The product will now be moved to the proper storage area in the distribution center warehouse. When you have reached the prescribed area, position the load so that it's in line with the other stacks and adequately spaced. Carefully position the load 10 to 12 inches above the floor spot or edge of the bottom stack if you are double stacking the product. Tilt the mast forward no more than 3 to 4 degrees. Lower the carriage until the platen tips are 1/2 inch above the floor or the bottom stack. Now slowly push the load 10 to 12 inches off the platens until it is correctly positioned. You should always position the load so that the tabs protrude far enough from the stack so as to enable access to the gripper bar for retrieval. Continue pushing and begin backing the forklift away from the load at the same speed that the faceplate is moving. You should never put the forklift in neutral and allow the push-pull to push the forklift backward when unloading. This places unnecessary force against the load and could cause costly product damage. After the load is discharged, tilt the mast back and position the platens 3 to 4 inches above the floor for traveling. At this point, we would like to emphasize the importance of the 3 to 4 degree pitch of the mast when unloading or retrieving the double-stacked product. If you allow a pitch of the mast that is greater than 3 to 4 degrees, you will be exerting extreme pressure on the forward edge of the bottom product, which will undoubtedly cause costly damage and adversely affect our customer relations.
When your work assignment calls for you to retrieve or rotate product from or within the storage area, there are prescribed methods that should be used to accomplish this. The method used is dependent on whether the product to be secured is part of a multiple stack or whether the product has been stored on the floor. If the load is to be retrieved from a 2 or 3 tier stack, the same procedure is used for retrieval as was used in the takeoff operation at the stretch wrap end of the roller conveyors. If the load is located on the floor, a different method is required to retrieve it. There are 3 ways to pick up a load off of the floor: the pull technique, the chisel technique, and the pull and drive technique, which is the recommended procedure because it causes less stress on the slip sheet tab. To begin the floor pickup, align the platens squarely with the load. Tilt the mast forward until the tips of the platens touch the floor. Extend the faceplate forward and drive the forklift forward so that the slip sheet tab nests in the gripper bar opening. Now, retract the faceplate and at the same time begin to drive the forklift forward, approximating the same speed of the faceplate. Tilt the mast back and position the carriage 3 to 4 inches off of the floor before traveling. At times, you may find yourself in situations where it would be difficult to use the pull and drive technique. In this case, follow the same initial procedure, but just pull the load onto the platens, or if extremely necessary and you have no other option, use the chisel technique. To pick up a load with a torn or damaged slip sheet tab, First, try to grip the tab beyond the damaged area. If this procedure is unsuccessful, tilt the mast forward and very carefully chisel under the load so as not to damage the product. If you seem to be having a lot of torn tabs, check the load placement on the sheet. The load should be placed no more than 1/4 inch behind the tab fold line. When you are required to retrieve product from inventory for a shipment, you will proceed to the storage area, pick up a load, and transport it to the prescribed loading door dock.
When the trailer that is to transport the product is in position at the loading dock, an interior switch located adjacent to the door is pressed. Which activates the dock lock lever that secures the trailer to the dock. At the same time, a green dock lock light will appear in the interior. And a red light will be activated on the exterior side of the door. The green light indicates that the trailer is now ready and safe for loading. And the red light indicates to the driver that the trailer is secured and is not to be moved. Under no circumstances will you start any loading of the trailer until you observe the green dock lock light. These lights should be in operation at all times and should never be turned off. Now you are ready to commence loading. Before you begin to move the load into the trailer, you should make sure that there is adequate clearance between the load and the top of the entrance, because this will vary dependent upon the type of trailer being loaded. Once you are inside the trailer, move the load to a point about 4 inches from the sidewall and about 10 to 12 inches from the front wall or the preceding load location. With the mast tilted forward no more than 3 to 4 degrees and the platen tips approximately 1/2 inch off of the floor, push the load forward to within 2 to 4 inches from the front wall or the preceding load location. Now, side shift over to the wall and nestle the stack into the corner to its final position. When the product has been positioned on each side of the trailer, it is important that the slip sheet tabs are taped in the up position to prevent the next module from damaging the slip sheet. Void fillers must be installed between the stacks before you bring in the next load to prevent load shifting and product damage. When the loading process has been completed, the shipment will now be transported to one of more than 120 Nabisco branch warehouses. If these procedures are followed, all distribution center forklift operators can be confident that they have done their part to ensure that the product gets to the designated branches in the best condition possible.
Separate from the distribution centers are the Nabisco branch warehouses. It is from these operations that the customers receive our products. Each sales branch is assigned a given amount of geographical territory to cover, and it is from this territory and customer base that inventory requirements are generated through a product forecast. Once product requirements are known, the distribution center is given those requirements to fill. The carrier that will transport the product to the branch warehouse is now contacted, and it will be their responsibility to contact the branch warehouse to set up an appointment for unloading once the approximate day and arrival time is determined. As material handlers, it is your responsibility to ensure that the customers receive the products in the best possible condition. It is to you that this portion of the video is intended.
The push-pull attachment enables the operator to move large, unitized quantities of material by means of a slip sheet or pallet. To ensure that you will be able to perform your work shift efficiently and safely, you are required to conduct a pre-operational check of the equipment that you will be using. If you are using the forklift or the forklift with the push-pull attachment, the following check steps are applicable. First, observe the platens to see that they are level. Then check each platen tip for nicks and gouges that could damage the slip sheet or product. If you notice damage, it should be repaired prior to the operation of the equipment. Small nicks can be flattened with a hammer, and the edges smoothed with a file or grinder. If you notice major damage, you should bring this to the attention of your supervisor, who will arrange for repairs by your authorized preventive maintenance dealer. At the beginning of each shift, you must apply a thin layer of paraffin wax to the surface of the platens of the push-pull attachment. The paraffin wax fills in small surface irregularities and will enable the slip sheet to slide easily onto the platens. Care of the platens is of the utmost importance. Operators who have never waxed the platens will be impressed with the results derived from this simple procedure. It will ensure longer equipment life due to less strain, reduce product damage, increase the battery life, and improve your ability to grab torn or defective slip sheets. Next, check to see that the pusher plate moves in and out smoothly and does not work at an angle or appear to be twisted. If it is twisted, the gripper bar will be slanted and will not grip the slip sheet tab evenly, which may cause the tab to be torn. You should then make sure that all fittings are tight and the hoses are attached securely and no leaks are discernible. Next, check the mounting hooks to see that they are tight and correctly positioned. Walk around the machine and check the tires for cracks or objects the tires might have picked up that could cause tire damage. Check the battery, making sure that all connections are tight and secure. And that the water reservoir is full. Also check the fire extinguisher to see that it is fully charged and properly secured. Check to see that the horn, brakes, and lights are working properly. And after having done this, run the push-pull through several cycles. If any problems are noticed during these check steps, notify your supervisor immediately. If everything checks out satisfactorily, you are now ready to begin the shift.
Before starting, we would like to again review the basic safety practices that are required in the performance of material handling. Never allow anyone to ride on the platens or use the push-pull for a man-lift platform. Never allow anyone to put their hand inside the mechanism when someone is sitting in the driver's seat or when the machine is running. Never allow anyone to walk under the platens when extended. When carrying loads, always back down inclines and drive forward when going up. Make sure your load is within the rated capacity of the forklift and attachment combination. Most all of the system's distribution center forklifts have a rated capacity of around 3,500 pounds. However, in the normal prescribed distribution and branch warehouse operations, the products that we handle generally would not achieve this weight. Always make sure that the loads that you handle are firmly stacked or unitized. Sloppy or poorly distributed loads should be straightened as much as possible before being picked up. Never travel with the platens raised, whether traveling with or without a load. Always maintain the platens 3 to 4 inches from the floor before moving the forklift. And finally, you should always be constantly on the alert for the presence of other workers or visitors in the area that you are working.
Our shipment from the distribution center has now arrived at the branch warehouse. The trailer is backed into the dock and secured manually to the loading dock by the dock lock lever. After the driver has applied the parking brakes, the wheel chocks are placed beneath the tires. The receiver should always double-check to ensure that this is done prior to entering the trailer and changing the dock lock lights. The dock lock light is a very important piece of safety equipment, and it should never be turned off. When the trailer is ready to be entered, the receiver will switch the inside light to green, which indicates that the trailer is now secured and safe for unloading or loading. Again, we would caution that under no circumstances will any loading or unloading commence until the green light is activated. When the green light is activated, the blinking exterior light now turns to red, which indicates to the driver that the trailer is not to be moved. When the unloading or loading has been completed, the exterior light will be switched to green, which indicates to the driver that he can now move the trailer from the receiving door. When unloading a trailer, depending upon the load, and after the proper safety precautions have been initiated, the first 2 tiers of product and the void filler should be removed before the dock leveler plate is put in place. This will help to eliminate product damage. As it was illustrated earlier, there are 3 ways to pick up a load off of the floor: the pull technique, the chisel technique, and the pull and drive technique, which is the recommended procedure because it causes less stress on the slip sheet tab. As the forklift approaches the trailer, the platens should be squared with the load. Tilt the mast no more than 3 to 4 degrees until the tips of the platens touch the floor of the trailer. Extend the faceplate forward and drive the forklift forward until the slip sheet tab nests in the gripper bar opening. Now retract the faceplate and at the same time begin to drive the forklift forward, approximating the same speed of the faceplate. When the load has been pulled onto the platens, side shift the load away from the wall and then carefully back out of the trailer. You should pay particular attention to the condition of the sidewall of the trailer before you commence to back out. Check for any projections on the trailer wall that could cause product damage. Care should also be taken not to extend the platen tips beyond the product being loaded or unloaded when there is a second tier of product behind. The extended tips of the platens could possibly crush or tear the product in the rear, causing costly damage. Always keep in mind that the customer is entitled to receive the entire cracker or cookie, not crumbs. The load is now transported to pallets that have been laid out in the staging area. This will vary depending upon the size of the sales facility. To unload onto a pallet, tilt the mast forward no more than 3 to 4 degrees. Position the load over the pallet until it is about 4 inches from the edge. Then lower the platen tips until they are approximately 1/2 inch above the pallet. Push the load forward by extending the faceplate until it is squarely centered and the front edge is resting securely on the pallet. Continue pushing and begin backing the forklift away at approximately the same speed as the forward movement of the faceplate. the pallet of merchandise is now ready to be moved to the storage area. When called upon to load a trailer, the same procedures will apply that were previously discussed in the earlier distribution center portion of this videotape.
Before we conclude this slipsheet training session, let's review a few of the more pertinent operation procedures. When starting your shift, always go through the pre-check procedure before using the forklift, and always apply paraffin to the platens prior to starting your shift. Adhere to all the basic safety practices when you operate the forklift in the performance of your job. Never exceed a 3 to 4 degree pitch to the mast when pulling or pushing product on or off of the platens. Only use the chisel technique to retrieve the product when you have no other options. Always position the load so that the slip sheet tabs are accessible for retrieval. Always double check to see that the dock lock is activated and that the wheel chocks are in place. Never commence loading until the dock lock light is green. Never turn the dock lock lights off. Always make sure that all the slip sheet tabs are taped. Always check for trailer roof clearance before loading. When unloading, always remember to side shift the load before backing out. Always remember to check the trailer walls for projections that could damage the product.
The entire Nabisco operation, from the bakery through distribution to the branch warehouse, is an operation of teamwork. The viability of any large corporation of this size is greatly dependent on the ability and dedication of each and every person within their particular team. How the employees perform their particular jobs and the expertise they exhibit in all their job's facets have a direct impact on how Nabisco is perceived by our customers and consumers. This encompasses such things as the efficient operation and maintenance of equipment, total job knowledge, adherence to safety practices in the performance of the job, and keeping breakage and repair to a minimum. These are some of the responsibilities that should be adopted by our employees as personal goals. As material handlers, your key responsibility is seeing that our customers receive products of the highest quality and freshness and in the best condition possible. This will ensure that when the citizens of the world think of a word that exemplifies quality and service, that name will always be Nabisco.